I'll end all this with a major question. Do you think there will be a day where the Triple H on air, the JBL on air, all these other guys that we're fucking sick and tired of, that we feel are getting in the way of things, will there be a day that they're all gone and there isn't anyone for us to fucking complain about?
No, absolutely not.
There's always going to be something.
There's always going to be something, Denny.
Always going to be something.
I mean, when Vince McMahon is gone, it will be very interesting to see what happens with the business.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if everything Triple H is doing with the company is any indication, behind the scenes, it looks like it'll be in pretty good shape. As long as he doesn't just stick his big nose in. Can you
guys imagine that, like, at some point, like, one of these guys on the roster now, like one of these guys that's like 20, like somewhere between like 28 and like 35 years old, is going to be like the authority figure in like 10, 15 years?
Crazy, right?
Like Roman Reigns will have like short hair, he'll come out in a suit, and he'll be like Mr. Reigns.
Isn't that crazy? That's I haven't really thought about that. That's a really interesting.
It is kind of strange, yeah.
Dean Ambrose is all of a sudden in a suit and tie.
Right. That'd be fucking amazing, actually.
I think that the day that Vince steps down, which he won't, so it'll have to be the day that he dies.
Vince McMahon's going to die on the job. Is what's going to happen to Vince McMahon.
Yeah, he's going to die on the job. But when that day comes in, whenever it may be, maybe 20 years, whatever it is, I think with Triple H kind of running things, things might change a little bit. In terms of the booking, in terms of like what we see week to week,
At the end of the day, it all comes down to the writing. If Vince goes away tomorrow or whenever the hell it is, and Triple H takes over, and Stephanie too, to that point, it's all about the writing. If they let the writers actually write interesting stories and don't pigeonhole them into stupid things, then the product will be great. It doesn't.
Well, that's the problem. You don't need writers to write interesting stories. You need wrestlers to book interesting angles.
Yeah.
Yeah, to a degree, but you still need somebody writing something interesting. I mean, even the Attitude Era had Vince Russo.
Okay, the golden age of the WWF that we love was Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson and a fucking notebook. Do you know what I mean? You have that's
the golden age that you guys love.
The promoter of the business and a former wrestler who has an amazing mind for booking made, they created the fucking Mega Powers Explode. They did all this shit with no fucking writers writing any scripts or any of that bullshit.
Okay, it's semantics at this point, but yeah, regardless of the fact, is it put an interesting story out there for us to grasp. Is really what it comes down to.
Saying you got these guys. You have Arn Anderson. You have, what's his name, Ricky Steamboat. You have all these guys as agents who are, they can all be a booking committee, and maybe you have a writer or two for some promos for guys that need that shit. But you don't need to write a promo for Dean Ambrose. You don't need to write a promo for some of these guys who know what the fuck they're doing. You say, hey, you go out there and here's the bullet points and do your fucking thing.
Oh yeah, well of course
that's what being a pro wrestler. That's a part of being a fucking pro wrestler.
Put out interesting storytelling.
You don't need to give a fucking. You don't need to write Enzo. And speaking of Enzo Amore, who's been in the business way less than Dean Ambrose. You don't need to write a fucking script for him. He knows what his gimmick is. And he knows what he needs to say. Say, hey, you need to go out there and insult these guys and promote this match you're having. Done. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, and I mean, we're kind of agreeing on the same thing here, but the thing isn't always just,
you guys are washing each other's balls right now.
Yeah. I'm saying the thing isn't just talking to, it's the booking and storytelling of the storyline itself. And it's the more long-term effect of watching something week after week and getting to an interesting closing point to it, instead of just, let's book this week. Okay, now let's book that week and that week.
Well, that's what Vince and Pat did. They said,
so that we need more of that.
This is where I'll keep using an example. This is where we want Hogan to beat Macho for the title at WrestleMania 5, and how do we get there? And book backwards, and that's what they did. They did shit like that.
So whether it's booking, writing, however you want to word it, that's when Triple H and Stephanie take over full time for good. That'll be, to me, the true indicator. It's not going to be how many indie wrestlers they can bring in who can put on 5-star matches. It's going to be, why do we care about watching these matches? And of course, that's the thing that's lacked the most in the last 15 years.